Audio Device Live is the preeminent audio and home theater show in the world, and nobody can do it like our team here at Audio Device.
Audio Device Live is designed for anyone who's just checking out audio for the first time or an audiophile that's been living and breathing it forever. We bring the heaviest hitters in the industry, McIntosh, Bowers & Wilkins, all of the biggest names.
Our goal with Audio Device Live is to bring the best brands and manufacturers in the world to have the chance to interact firsthand with our customers, to be able to deliver these amazing world-class experiences and see them firsthand.
My friends and I have had so much fun at Audio Device Live. It's been an incredible experience. It's so great to be around people who, really appreciate the gear, and it's been such a fun time.
Our team makes this the best experience a consumer could possibly have in the nation. It is the second largest audio show in the country and the largest home theater show in the world.
Experience the one-of-a-kind magic of Audio Device Live. Visit our website today.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Audio Advice live stream and really the standout experiences of Audio Advice Live. That's about almost a week away, so we're about 8 days out. So it's going to be a lot of fun this year. If you've been living under a rock or if you haven't been watching our live streams, this is a consumer first show that's going to be in Raleigh, North Carolina. So we're going to have a lot of home theater, a lot of 2-channel, a lot of turntables, headphones, you name it. So that's August 1st through 3rd at the downtown Sheraton, Raleigh, North Carolina. So we're going to have some fun experiences. We are also doing some deep dives this year. So in place of the panel sessions, we're going to have a lot deeper topics, more of them in a smaller, more intimate space. So if you're coming to the show, make sure you get there early for those deep dive sessions, because you're definitely going to want to check them out. There's some real experts, some of which might be on the stream today. So we're going to bring in some of our friends to discuss some of their standout experiences and some of the theaters that we're going to have at the show. So without further ado, just so I give everybody enough time, we'll go ahead and kick it off. So up first, we have Roberto Gamba from McIntosh.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for
Hey, Roberto. Yeah, it's great to have you on. So tell us a little bit about you, who you are, what you do.
So mainly I'm the business developer director for the custom installation for Macintosh Group. So both Mac and Sonus. I also run different things like be part of the listening group in Sonus Faber. So every product that we put out, normally I listen to the product. I try to ensure all the demos also with 2-channel product like Suprema or the big system. So we're taking care about also all our partners around the world. So this is mainly what I do. Also spec theater, how to spec theater, let me say.
Yeah. I think we've seen some of a lot of our team's been out and seen some of your design work. You worked on the House of Sound in New York, right?
Right. Yes. House of Sound was a big challenge because we tried to create an environment that was very similar to a real house, with all the concern of a real house, without to use a lot of, material different that is the normal or standard that we use in design. So in design, like architectural design, not the one that we use as custom installer, because sometimes we have some challenge and we try to solve in a different way for let the people live in a real space or standard environmental space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I've got this picture. This is
Yes.
This is one that you worked on. So yeah, it's definitely a challenging space to work with. I think you guys were working around sprinklers and such. This room sounds fantastic.
Yeah, you know everything because the sprinkler things is a very small detail, but when you get the space, there was some challenge, and the sprinkler was one for the Atmos positioning, and also if you saw, and everyone can see that the space is very wide and not a lot of depth. So we made it works. I think we have a good feedback from the space. So I think we try to do different design.
Yeah. Well, it turned out really well. So that sounds great. And the Suprema setup is top notch. But awesome. Well, you guys are coming out of the show. This is your first year at Audio Advice Live, so you get to enjoy it in all of its glory. So you guys are bringing something a little unique. So tell us a bit about it.
Yes. So mainly, let's say that before I want to say 2 or 3 things that very simple about the companies, because let's say that Sonus Faber, as you know, it's a brand that was born in a 2-channel world, and mainly it's an artisan company. So we build really every product by hands, with natural sound. Everything is really created by human. Every day are there for create this product, and a lot of innovation behind. So we transfer from design to audio with these things that then we bring also in CI, and I will connect after when I speak about the room. And on the Macintosh side, we discuss always about amplifier, amplification, all these kind of things. But let's say there are other products, a huge range, so we can, let's say, cover all the sound environment from speaker to streamers to everything is on the chain. So this is mainly what we will bring at the show, because this is the point, is showcase what can be interesting. And as you know, we have a presidential suite on the 16th floor. But before to talk about this, if you agree, I will speak about the other two rooms that are also interesting, because you mentioned, for example, Suprema, and one of the room is not a Suprema, but there are a concertino that is a bookshelf speaker, but is really super connected to the Suprema, because let's say we see the wood left and right, but the enclosure is made by cork. So the cork was used the first time with Suprema. So it's really an innovation in this kind of products, because we create a shell, and the shell is made by cork. So something completely different compared to all our speaker. You see the humans, as I said, that's working on this speaker. So it's really interesting. So we bring that product with an MSA 5500. So an integrated amplifier that is also a streaming platform, because we can handle the streaming platform there. So very simple system, but we try to recreate our best sound with not a lot of components. So and bringing something that is trickled down from the Suprema. That is also a key point, because when we do products in both sides, Mac and Sonus, we try to create something unique on the flagship areas, and then start to use it in all the product. We saw in Sonetto, then now in Concertino. So we bring this product because I think the people need to touch and understand what is being innovation on products.
Yeah. So what else you got?
The next one, it's a Macintosh room, mainly. It's full Mac. So let's say we reintroduced the ML1 for the 75 anniversaries. Let's say that the first ML1 was made in 1970, and 12-inch, huge power with an equalizer at the time. But in this case, we get a 12-inch, but we have a dual 4-inch mid-range that's helped to have a wide sweet spot. So mainly it's a product that can give you a wider sweet spot compared to other speakers. And on the same time, we can run a lot of power, because mainly we can run 600 watts on a product. So huge power, a wider sweet spot. So something different compared to some Sonus Faber product and some other products. So mainly we try to bring also something that we don't often show, because it's good to know that in the lineup of Mac, we have some other type of speakers that can help in some specific application when we need to run big power, or for example, we have in the lineup also the line array type of product. So it's good to know, because sometimes we show the amplifier, we show let's say some type of things that are not always like speakers, or let's say streamer or turntable, because we bring also turntable, and we bring also a full tubes set. So C2800 and 1502 like amplification. So let's say we bring the power of the ML1 and then we give a tube, let's say, amplification. So we create also a type of sound that is a warmer sound. So we try to do something special. And this is the point for this room. So first room is like an intro room where we can try to understand it's the not the entry point in Sonus Faber, because it's not the entry point, but something that is entry with the technology that was trickled down from Suprema. And then we go in another one that is a powerful muscle room that is really interesting to listen. And then we can listen something different on the presidential suite, because when we discuss about this year at Audio Advice, that was my first for sure, but the idea was like bringing something that we never show probably. I think is the first time, just for your knowledge also globally. Yes, because
cool.
normally we talk about home theater and we have a lineup that is the arena. And for do something like the arena, like you mentioned in House of Sound, we need to build the room. That is possible. But let's say we already did at CEDIA 2022. We have the House of Sound, but we never show something that we use in the 2-channel world for an home theater application. So let's say that the Amati, that is our homage product, is normally used in 2-channel, but here we bring a 5.4 in a, let's say, interesting configuration, because we have the 2 Amati, the Vox. Then we, as amplifier, we use the 125 on the front, and we use for the Serafino that are our surround, we will use the 611 with an MX 180. So we will use Room Perfect as correction on a room. It's interesting. Why? Because we bring everything that is the history and the sound, timbre, and let's say musicality of Sonus inside the home theater environment where we need dynamics. So mainly we get these dynamics with the Amati for sure. And we will show that this product can be used for an home theater application. And just for you know, we launched before the Amati, and then we built the arena in 2022. So mainly the arena, I cannot say that is a derivation, but if you listen an arena that is an inward product, we'll give you some reference, because also one of the most important point, our customer, your customer, everyone can have a 2-channel, they can have an home theater, they can have a car or both, whatever it is. So we try to give the same timbre, same experience, because in your house, wherever you are, you pick your best product, but this product represents you around your life, around your day. So mainly this is what we try to do, is be part of the day of everyone choose our products.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to hear this. I mean, I've heard the large scale theater that you have over at the House of Sound with Sonus Faber, but I'm excited to hear it in a more, I would say, realistic setting for a lot of people. I mean, most people don't live in a hotel, but the same size room. So I think it'll be really cool. So I'm excited to check that out. I'm sure you guys are gonna get a lot of attendance. And we also have you on a deep dive session this year. So we've got a deep dive session with one of our theater designers, Seth Middleman, to discuss the relationship of amplifiers with speakers with the room. So it's going to be a really fun conversation. So we're looking forward to having you there on that one. So I think that one is on, let me just pull it up. That one is on Friday at 11 a.m. Yeah. So make sure you come out and check this out.
Yeah, and it would be interesting because if you look normally here, we talk about like a standard one, like 5.4. So 4 subs, that is the classic type of, let's say, reproduction. But as I told you, in 2022, we start with something different because we start to use 16 subs. This was a thinking that we can discuss during this session, where we pull out something that is a line array of subs that create a kind of cylindric wave on the front. So it will be, I think, fun. We will have
Yeah.
fun, and we can discover more things about the products. I didn't mention in detail a lot the product here because what is our point is experience. We want that the people experience, because doesn't matter sometimes to explain specific things, but when you experience, you get what we want to do with our products.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, Roberto, thank you so much for jumping on today. We've got a few other people we're going to work in, but we'll see you at the show.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and have a great day.
Yeah, absolutely. You too. So one thing I forgot to mention, everybody, was we actually do have a giveaway for today. So we are going to just pick out a comment. So just leave a comment on there. It's one comment per person for entry, and we're going to give away a set of active Peachtree M24s. These are a great pair of powered speakers, for your desk, for your living room. So go ahead and leave a comment now, and hopefully we can get you pulled here at the end. So awesome. Well, up next, we have our team from Ascendo and Trinnov to talk about what they're doing at the show. Awesome.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
So yeah, we've got a fun lineup for you guys at the show. So, well, first let's go through and do some quick introductions. So Jeffrey, you want to start us off?
Sure, certainly. I'm one of the owners of Ascendo Immersive Audio in Germany. We're a German company, and we build high-performance home theater loudspeakers. Traditionally, Ascendo has been building since 1999 two-channel high-end loudspeakers. So this is our pedigree, our DNA. So we do high-quality tuning of our loudspeakers like it would be a high-end loudspeaker. But the very big difference for us is dynamics. Our loudspeakers are some of the most dynamic loudspeakers in home theater industry, well known and respected. And also you see here next to me a 32-inch subwoofer. So we're very well known for infrasonic subwoofers. And of course, you see John Heron from Trinnov. We do a waveforming system together with Trinnov. We're very excited about. And then, of course, you see Todd, who is my exclusive distributor for USA and Canada. So, yes,
awesome.
That's us.
Well, we're really excited. I know I've worked quite a bit with John and Todd. So as somebody who works directly on theater design, dedicated for it, I spend a lot of time picking John's brain and now Todd. So we've picked up Ascendo. So I wanted to get into infrasonic subs because I feel like it's a necessity in today's high-end theater climate. So yeah, we're really excited. So you guys are showing off some cool stuff. So John, why don't you start off by telling a bit about the configuration? And I know you and I had a conversation initially before we even started planning out every room for Audio Advice Live about what we wanted to do. So there was a technology you want to show off. So why don't you tell everybody a bit about that?
Well, I think the highlight of the show will be our demonstration of our new waveforming technology. This is the result of a research project that we started 8 or almost 9 years ago now. And it's an ongoing research project. It will evolve. But the goal of this project was a little bit different and successful in that most of the time, people who've been in the business or in the hobby for a little while understand that standing waves are just the bane of everyone's existence. The two big problems are that those really long waves, when they're basically match a dimension of the room, tend to ping pong back and forth and create interference patterns so that it's loud over here and quiet over there. Plus, it's ping ponging back and forth for so long that it just creates a lot of low frequency mud in the room, and it's hard to hear through that to the rest of what you'd like to hear. Well, most of the ways of addressing these problems in the past have been trying to mitigate the problem after it's already come to be. The marching orders for this research team was, is it even possible to simply eliminate standing waves from the get-go, so that rather than trying to put a Band-Aid on something that's already broken, can we just avoid breaking it in the first place? And my goodness, it's very, we also have an Ascendo Trinnov system here in our training facility. And one of the demonstrations I do for dealers when they come in for training is, I play a pure sine wave that is, predictably one of the worst frequencies we could have in that room, just based on the dimensions of the room. And I play it with a really well calibrated, but more conventionally calibrated system. And we ask them just walk back and forth in the room and tell us when you hear the loudest sound and the quietest sound, depending on where you are. And they're always a little bit blown away because you don't often do this one frequency at a time. So it really makes it obvious. There's almost a 30 decibel difference between the quiet spot and the loud spot. 30 dB is like the difference between 1 watt and 1,000 watts. Okay, so and it's not touching the volume control. That's just the room doing what it does with bass. And then when we click on waveforming and have them walk back and forth, it's just about a 1 dB difference maximum, no matter where you are in the room. It's small enough that if you're not really paying attention, you probably wouldn't hear it. And then, but that addresses the sort of seat-to-seat consistency issue. For me, the larger thing is the degree to which all that low-frequency mud is just cleaned up. So as you might imagine, this reveals a lot of dynamic contrast and detail at low frequencies. The thing that I was surprised by was the magnitude of improvement on things like dialogue intelligibility, which is at a much higher range of frequencies. But I think the way it's working is we're effectively lowering the noise floor in the room because we're preventing all that mud from building up in the first place. And it just makes everything easier to hear and more detailed and certainly higher intelligibility.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I mean, it's going to be put to the test here at the show because you guys have only done, I guess, at a trade show, 1 or 2 other waveforming demos.
Yeah, a
ever,
couple
right?
of them.
Yeah, they were
at CEDIA and also at ISE over in Europe. But
yeah. But this is, I think, going to be the first one that's in an actual room, not in a purpose-built kind of room within a room type situation. Is that right? So,
it certainly is the first one at a trade show that isn't specifically trade oriented, meaning it's a customer facing trade show as opposed to something like CEDIA.
Yeah, so it's going to be really exciting, and this room's got its own challenges since
it
it's
is
not
almost perfectly square.
yeah, it's a nice perfect square. I had to give you guys one that's a little bit challenging, but low ceilings, drop ceilings, perfect square. So it's going to be fun to put to the test. But we've got a nice configuration going in here. So Todd, do you want to tell us a little bit about the configuration that you guys are thinking of, or you have some of the equipment that you're bringing?
Certainly. Hello, everyone. As Jeffrey mentioned, I'm the distributor for Ascendo in the US and Canada. And this is our debut at Audio Advice Live, so we're really excited. And what everyone who attends is going to experience for Ascendo, kind of picking up where Jeffrey quickly left off, is we have high efficiency speakers, high power handling. We can do dynamics effortlessly, and we believe in a lot of clean power behind them. So effortless is one of the most common comments that people use when they hear the system. So it's just a fun to listen to because no matter your audio background, everyone can hear distortion and everyone senses, listening fatigue. And the beautiful thing about really low distortion is that your brain just doesn't have to think about it anymore. It's not chewing on the problem in the system anymore. It's just fun to listen to, and it becomes totally immersive. So I'm not going to give away all the secrets of everything we're bringing because we have to leave some surprises for people who come. And we have a huge range of product for Ascendo, from $600 to $60,000. So it's always a little bit of a challenge for us to decide what to bring, and especially when it's our first time with the Audio Advice audience. We want to kind of strike a balance. We don't want to bring the super low end and disappoint people who want to hear higher end performance. We don't want to bring a system that's $500,000 that everybody's going to have a fun time listening to, but at the same time say, but who can afford that? Very few among us. So we're going to strike a balance that we guarantee will be a ton of fun. I'm going to speak mainly about the configuration for the bass because that's really kind of our focus here, kind of with Trinnov. So we are doing waveforming, and we are using 6 woofers on the front wall and 6 woofers on the back wall. And thank you for the cue. So that is, we're bringing our active 16-inch sub, so it's got a plate amp on board. And this is going to be a ton of fun. And this is what's going to be used in what Ascendo refers to as the kick range of subwoofers. We have to kind of differentiate because, as Jeffrey and John mentioned as well, we have infrasonic subwoofers. So we've been leading the infrasonic wave for a number of years, and now it's, as you said, it's, thank you for saying so, Nick, it's kind of become a requirement these days. And if you haven't yet experienced it, you'll understand how addictive it is once you do. But the kick range, or in this scenario, the waveforming kind of frequency of range is where the 16s are going to play the part. And then, yes, we are going to bring an infrasonic toy that shall be not be named. We'll bring it, and hopefully, we're going to be the ones with our hands up saying, yeah, that was us. Because when you bring a big infrasonic woofer, you need a lot of amplifier power. In order to deliver a lot of amplifier power, you need a lot of electrical power. This is not the newest of hotels, and everyone on this call is aware of the challenges we've had trying to find suitable electronic circuit. So if we shut down the hotel, if everything goes black, that's the Ascendo guys. Yeah. You'll probably hear a brief earthquake that was infrasonic, and then the whole place will go dark. That'll be us.
I know that's the challenge with some of these. We've done this. This is our 4th year doing it. I think we've located most of the circuits. This is the one room that I have not tripped a circuit in. So I'm excited to trip the circuit in there. So let's make it happen.
First time for everything. So now it's a challenge. Yeah, thank you. So it's going to be a ton of fun. And I'll say one other quick thing and then move on about, it's not often kind of considered in the same respect, subwoofers, relative to like main speakers, but if you think about it, it makes total sense. And that is the job of the 16s, together with kind of the removing of the mud that John's talking about from the room. When you take a bunch of 16s and you relieve them of having to do the deepest bass, because our infrasonic subwoofers are going to do the deepest bass. The 16s actually, then they are relieved of some of the stress of doing the lower frequencies. And as a result, then the frequency range that you then, leave them with, they're able to do a much better job, a lower distortion job. So the entire, kind of experience or marriage of the products, in addition to waveforming's, manipulation, if you will, or correction of the room modes, it's going to leave just, a ton of really low distortion, kind of effortless bass. And while Ascendo makes a full range of speakers and obviously subwoofers, let's be honest, the experience that really sells theaters is phenomenal bass. And if you've yet to experience really, really good bass, we aim to put on a good show for really good bass. We look forward to it. Very cool. Yeah, the configuration. So 6 in the front, 6 in the back. It's a little bit of a challenge, but we've got our team on our side. We designed a shelf that these can sit on. So whenever you come to the show and you see something that's that looks like it was built in a day, it probably was, but it's going to sound really good. So we're super excited to have these all put up. And also, somebody in the comment section says that we need to include a Sabbath and Ozzy demo in there. So that's I'm going to request that at some point.
I can do that for you.
All right. That sounds awesome. So let's see. Let's go over to Trinnov a little bit more. So John, I think one of the big questions that I get, whenever people are looking at Trinnov, they say, what separates Trinnov from your average consumer level processors out there? It's besides just the price. In 5 minutes or less, John. Yeah, 5 minutes or less. Well, actually, or less, we've got a little bit more time. We got more time.
Well, first, it's an entirely software-based platform, which by itself doesn't necessarily explain why you'd want it. But we're using, to simplify things, we're using a $500 PC instead of a $5 DSP chip for all of our signal processing, which not only allows us to do things just based on the amount of available horsepower, we can do things that nobody else is in a position to do. Plus, it's all our own custom-built software. So we have a latitude of things that we can do that's just not available otherwise. It also is really nice because all of our software updates are free. So, over the years, we've introduced entirely new formats, like whether it was Oro 3D or DTSX or DTSX Pro or IMAX Enhanced. And all of those updates not only didn't require you to take the box off the rack and send it in for some sort of update, but it was just a software update and it was free. So the goal is to bring everybody along on the experience. As things get better, the product actually gets better, as opposed to most surround processors and frankly most products that begin to become obsolete almost the day you buy them. Surround processors particularly, because things change really fast. Every couple of years you wind up turfing out your old processor and having to buy a new one. That's not really the case with us. We have Altitude 32s that have been in use since 2014, and they're still going strong. There are other things like our optimizer technology and 3D and remapping. This is our fancy microphone. It looks the way it looks for very specific reasons in terms of the information we're trying to get from the room. But it also happens to, it's just become iconic for the brand. It's interesting to see. And it gives us the information that we need so that we can solve some problems that are otherwise pretty much impossible to solve.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's configurations that pretty much you can only do with a software-based processor like Trinnov. So until I'm proved wrong, there's not a way to do discrete side surrounds in most consumer level processors.
Yeah.
So once we get up to 9 channels, we want to do dual sides. That's where Trinnov steps in and really, does a great job.
We're running the original code directly from Dolby rather than a simplified version of the code that was designed by, Analog Devices or TI or somebody to fit on an inexpensive DSP chip that they could sell a lot of.
Yeah.
And so anything that the format designers wanted to include is available.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, it's in a class of its own. I'll put it that way. We got into Trinnov at first, and some of the team was like, "How many of these are we going to move?" Like with big theaters, this is a staple piece, just like infrasonics is becoming. So,
yeah.
Jeffrey and Todd, I've still got you guys on here, so we got about 8 more minutes that we can harp on this a little bit more. So, one of the biggest questions I get with infrasonic subs is, one, how much content out there actually has infrasonics? And 2, it's like, is it distracting? So those are the 2 questions I'm going to lump in together. It's like, when the infrasonic does kick in, is that all you hear? People are associated with like a heavy car audio sub turned all the way up. And 2, is that content available out there?
Well, let me talk or start first with these 2 questions. So, is there infrasonic content out there? Yeah, there is tons of it. I think more than 50% of all movies have infrasonic content. I would dare to say probably even 75% of all the modern movies. Yes. Is it distracting? If you do it right, no, it's not. And what I mean by that is, if you have a subwoofer that can reproduce measurable low frequencies, yeah, it can sound muddy, if you don't have a precise, start and stop on a dime kind of subwoofer, then, you don't hear the details, the graininess that even exists in the infrasonic base, register of frequencies. But if you have a muddy subwoofer, then, yes, it's becoming distracting because it's a 1-note bass, and it just shakes and rumbles, right? But if you have a very fast, detailed, responsive subwoofer, then there is a lot of detail down there. Even if you listen to, let's say, an old living stereo recording from a vinyl behind you, from the 1960s, that have no limiters, no filters, no infrasonic filters, whatnot, and you listen to some of these recordings, there is spatial information in the infrasonics you wouldn't believe, and John can confirm that, because we made these tests, various times. So that's my 2 cents worth,
Yeah.
If I may add a little bit to that, when the stuff that you're feeling throughout your body is harmonically related to what you're hearing with your ears, it takes on a whole different level of realism. And I agree with Jeffrey. There are a lot of kind of rumble makers out there that I personally do find distracting. But when everything is coherent like this, it's incredibly immersive. It just sucks you into whatever they're doing in the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And there's quite a bit of training that we do with our dealers to set it up properly. This isn't about just connecting a bunch of subs to a processor, measuring them from the seats, and you're off and running. Is like there's a lot of calibration and specific kind of setup work that makes this all work perfectly. To Jeffrey's point, it's perfectly time aligned, it's phase aligned. And the distracting part, as both John and Jeffrey spoke to about other subwoofers, if they're not designed or set up correctly, frankly, is that they're not integrated well with the rest of the system. So they end up sounding like they're off doing their own thing, and they're not part of what the rest of the content is trying to immerse you with. And that's a huge difference. So the end result is when we're done with infrasonic, kick subs, and the rest of the system, it is perfectly integrated from the highest of frequencies to the lowest of frequencies, so that you're not distracted by anything that's not integrated well, because it is integrated well. Then it's the best kind of sensation, because there is so much content out there. Our dealers around the country don't even talk about budgets with clients yet. They say, just come experience it. Pick any movie you want on the screen in front of you, and you're going to be amazed. You've been listening to or watching it forever. You didn't even realize infrasonic content was in there. So now experience it. And when the physical part that John talks about goes from, well, these are the things I can audibly hear, and here are the things that are coming up through the kind of the floor in my body. And once your body is engaged in that experience, you will never forget that, and you're going to have one. So listen at your own peril.
Well, I'm really excited. This is going to be a fun demo at the show. I already apologized to your neighbors in advance in the room next to you. So I just gave them a warning, and they said, "Hey, this is an audio show. Let it rip." We're excited. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So cool. Well, there's another topic I want to cover, which is the deep dive session. So we're going to have another deep dive session, and John is going to be on the deep dive session with me, actually. So it'll be John and myself talking about home theater standards. So John is one of the people that I go to whenever I have questions about speaker placement and room design. So I was like, what better person to bring on with myself to talk about this? So John and I will be on Saturday at 3 to 3:45, and so we're going to work through designing a room. I'm sure we'll probably answer some questions along the way, but it should be a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, is there anything else that you guys want to add before we jump off?
I think we pretty much covered it. Just come on down to the bottom floor and find us.
Yep. So come down, check out Magnolia 1. Just like I said, this will be August 1st through 3rd at the Sheraton in downtown Raleigh. So come check out this room. It's going to be a lot of fun. So awesome, guys. Well, thanks so much for jumping on. And up next, we've got Epson. Hey, Rob.
Hey,
how
Nick,
you doing?
how's it going? Oh, I'm doing wonderful. How about yourself?
Doing well. So we've got some exciting things on the cusp here. So tell us a bit about what you're showing off at the show.
Sure, absolutely. So this is actually will be my second time attending Audio Advice. So I'm certainly thrilled to come back with a little more understanding of exactly what's going on and kind of the feel and the vibe of the experience. Obviously, a little bit of a hard change of direction compared to the last couple of guests that you've had come in. Epson projectors are not known for their speakers, but ultimately great video, great audio comes together for a wonderfully immersive experience. And what made last year's event kind of so interesting from Epson's perspective and from my perspective is that this event happens right before CEDIA. So at CEDIA last year, we introduced an entire new line of premium home theater projectors, what we call a Q series, but we couldn't talk about it at Audio Advice Live. So we ended up having lots of like, kind of private conversations with some dealers that would come through, and we'd say, hey, keep your ear to the ground. We've got something right around the corner. So we're going to be showing a couple things at Audio Advice Live this year. First and foremost, for anyone who hasn't yet had an opportunity to see and experience Epson projection, specifically the new Q series high brightness projectors. Those are going to be on display in several different rooms, not only Epson specific, but of course also some of the other audio brands that are going to be using video have reached out, and we're going to be partnering with them to provide those. So when you're looking for high brightness is really interesting because it drives a couple of unique experiences in the world of projection. It drives larger screens than we're typically used to deploying in home environments. It also allows for projection to be placed in kind of non-conventional spaces. I'm one of those projector kind of hardcore sociopaths. So like my theater room is not dark. My theater room is painted black, like flat, matte, black paint, black carpet. I go in there and I got to wear a baklava because my face is too shiny and I'm destroying the contrast in my own theater room. But that's not how everyone, that's not the viewing experience that everyone expects. And not everyone has either a dedicated space or is willing to turn the dedicated space into something so kind of one note, if you will. And so the second thing that high brightness does is allows for projection to be deployed in non-conventional spaces, whether it's multi-purpose rooms or media rooms or even living rooms. But I will say we are going to have one extra kind of unique surprise at Audio Advice this year. We are going to be unveiling a new product. Now, the announcement for that worldwide is going to be at the event itself. So I'm not going to be able to share details during the live stream right now, but I will go so far as to say this: it's not a printer, and that's no disrespect to the Epson printer team. It's a wonderful group over there, but we will have a brand new product that we will be unveiling in addition to looking at the Q series that we announced last year at CEDIA.
Very cool. Well, that's super exciting. Yeah, hopefully it's not an ink cartridge either. So we'll hold.
No. We do that fill and chill, man. That's what Shaquille is all about. Fill and chill, bro.
Awesome. Well, no, I'm looking forward to that. So you guys are going to be shooting on a few different Stuart film screens. So That's somebody I want to shout out really quick. Stuart's also going to be at the show showing off a bunch of their screens and different materials. They supplied all the screens for the show. So they've been absolutely awesome. So you guys are going to be showing off on one of the on a 152.4 for one of your Q series. I think it's the QL. Is it the 7000 that you guys have got in that room? So
yes,
yeah, it's a 152.4 micro perf.
Yeah, so just a miserly 10,000 lumens, on that projector. And so one of the things that I think is so exciting, and part of the reason why I chose to join the Epson team a little more than a year ago, is there's always kind of been this challenge when it comes to projection. Again, even in dedicated spaces. I've been in the industry for just about 15 years, and I've been giving my personal recommendation. And I've worked for various other electronics manufacturers, but my personal recommendation for a very long time has been, you probably should disable HDR in your projector at home. Chances are that your projector and the screen size that you've deployed and the screen gain that you're using isn't producing enough on-screen brightness for really impactful kind of HDR viewing. So SDR is really, kind of the bee's knees, and that's where you should be. And part of the other reason for having that opinion is there hasn't been a standard. There hasn't been like an industry really recognized recommendation for HDR brightness for large format viewing, whether it's projection or even video wall. But that changed last year in February. The Digital Cinema Initiative, which essentially is Hollywood, came together and wrote a new standard for HDR, which includes all the technical kind of background for transport and format and encoding and all that kind of good stuff. But it also includes standards for on-screen brightness. And so the new standard, not recommendation, but standard, is 300 nits, or 300 candelas per meter squared, right? And so you're going to be able to experience on even this huge 240, 150, inch plus screen, that this new reference standard for HDR, but in a projector system. And for anyone who's watching this live stream, for me, I've always found a reflected light experience, which is what projection provides, to be more easy on the eyes, and therefore it's easier to suspend disbelief and allow myself to be kind of immersed into the content that I'm watching. I mean, don't get me wrong, TVs are great. TVs have some amazing technologies built into them, but I've always found there's some level of fatigue for long viewing, especially for high impact HDR. And so the ability now to experience high impact HDR content on a projected system that's large, so it's immersive, but also comfortable, increases the immersive kind of experience. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, and your ears need a rest from those amazing audio demos, we're going to have audio in, don't get me wrong, it's not going to be a silent film, but we're going to have a more, let's call it a balanced approach in the Epson room for both video and audio, and be able to show you what the Q series is, and again, something new for the audio advice crowd. And we were thrilled to be able to partner with you to make the announcement at this event.
Oh yeah, we couldn't be more excited. It's interesting that you were talking about the HDR side of things. So, typically HDR is optimized for televisions. That's just naturally how it has been for years past. And there's just such a brightness differential between projectors and projectors and TVs. And so that's where like video processing really started to step in, and people were trying to bridge that gap. But they were like, there's no way we're gonna get a projector that's that bright. Most projectors that were within reasonable price ranges were 3,500 or less lumens. So that goes out to about, just to hit 100 nits, you're at about, say, 150 inch 16:9. That's like a unity gain of 1.0. Off the top of my head, I could be entirely wrong, but it should be somewhere right around there for 100 nits. So, it's interesting that you guys are kind of taking that high light output approach, and you can get 300 nits on that exact same screen is going to be insane. So I'm excited for people to check it out. I haven't even got to see the Q series in person yet. So it's got a few I know they've been out for a little bit, and I was like, I've been meaning to try to go check them out. So this will be my first dive at them, and I've got a feeling it's going to be popular on my list. So tell us a little bit about the technology that that they differ from. I would say something like the LS 12,000, for example.
Sure. So there are a couple of key differences. First, we'll talk some commonalities, right? So at the heart of Epson projection is 3-chip, 3 LCD, using blue phosphor laser, which is kind of the industry standard for laser projectors at this point. But even with the laser light package, there are some unique things that Epson does. For example, instead of a spinning phosphor wheel, we used a fixed phosphor. So ultimately, what that means is there's less moving parts. It's more of a, we'll call it solid state solution. Less moving parts means less wear and tear, more reliable performance over time. It also means, of course, that with less moving parts, less heat generated. So even though we have these, high brightness projectors, they're still compact, they're still quiet, they're still running at the loudest of them just over 30 decibels. So your HVAC system is going to be louder than the projector, and they run off standard power. So that's kind of at the heart of what Epson is really doing: compact, precise, quiet and efficient. When you look at the LS 12,000, one of the really kind of cool things about it is, as I'm sure you know, and many in the audience probably know, Epson projectors utilize a shift technology. And the LS 12,000 was the first shift projector from Epson that would put all 8.3 million pixels of 4K on screen. The projectors prior to that were using a single shift technology, and now we use a dual access shift that uses voice coils that operate at 240 hertz to be able to shift the image around to get all 8.3 million pixels on the screen. So that kind of started the conversation. When we moved forward with the rest of the Q series, first we have the QB1000. From an external perspective, looking at it, it is the same chassis as the LS 12,000. There are primarily really three differences. It's brighter, 22% brighter. So we bumped the brightness from 2,700 lumens to 3,300 lumens. We've improved the black level performance with better filtering. So better contrast overall. It's about 20% better black level. So we want to reach up for good HDR. We also want to reach down to be able to create, excellent dynamic range, which is the vehicle for color. And then we also brought in a new processor, the QZX processor, which added for the first time in an Epson projector, dynamic tone mapping. So, you really hit the nail on the head. HDR, from a consumer standpoint, was built for televisions. When you have a 1,000, 4,000, or for some reason, Bridge on the River Kwai is graded at 10,000 nits. When you have that content and you ask, your projector, and again, your math is pretty good, that's maybe only producing 100 nits on screen to tone map your dynamic range from, scene by scene, sometimes from 10,000 nits down to 100 nits, you're asking a lot. And when you only rely on static tone mapping, whatever stratagem you've decided to essentially, and I'll use this word, compress the dynamic range from 10,000 nits to 100 nits applies to every scene. Even the scenes that require much less compression get the same treatment. So dynamic tone mapping allows us to apply the right level of essentially adjustment on a frame by frame basis. And that is a new trick for the Q series projectors. So you start with better dynamic range as a capability, and then better brains for better decision making on the frame by frame basis. And that's the QB1000. The other two models in the lineup are QL models. So the QL3000 and the QL7000. They're basically the same projector with just two different levels of brightness, 6,000 lumens or 10,000 lumens. But what makes these projectors even more unique is their interchangeable lens. And there are a dozen lenses that you can spec. And so what that means is when you take a look at your given application, whether your room is very long and you don't want to have a projector hanging from the middle of your theater room, or if you want to do a rear pro in a closet behind the screen, and so you need a really short throw distance, Epson has a number of lenses to choose from with starting throw distance or ratio of 0.34 on the short end, all the way out to over 7 times the width of the image on the long end. So we have this flexibility for installation, flexibility of brightness to deploy larger screens, brighter rooms, all while being quiet and kind of not power hungry. And you put all that together, and what we've seen, and the market has responded, is an ability for consumers and certainly for our dealer partners to be able to offer projection in environments where previously they would just go with television. And again, not here to throw shade at TVs, but giving more options is always a great idea. And ultimately the consumer wins when the consumer has more choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And ultimately, for theaters, projection is currently the go-to. I mean, it's the standard. Everybody talks about flat panels, and hopefully flat panels do go large format and they take over things. But from a perspective of speaker placement, having the center channel directly behind an acoustically transparent screen is still the standard out there. And so if you read the, CEDIA, all of that, you can go above and below the screen and it works, but not like having it behind the screen. It just attaches the voice to it so much more. So I'm a projection enthusiast. And I think there's also something to be said about if you have too bright of a screen in a theater, it can be a little eye searing. It messes with your color perception, your depth perception, if it's too overly bright. 300 nits, we haven't approached that yet. That's bright, but it's not crazy.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely true. There's a secret hidden in the world of brightness and HDR that is not often talked about. But when you pay extra money, for example, to go to, a Dolby cinema, right? And I want to go see, Dolby Vision, but in the theater. Mm-hmm. That content is graded at about 106 nits. And so the projectors are tuned for that. And, the theater is given a special version of the movie that's graded at 106 nits. When you pay extra money to go to IMAX, right, that's 75 nits. And there's a special version of the movie that's graded for that. And you might think to yourself, well, wait a minute. That's very dark, isn't it? I was just at the movies last week and it was bright. I just saw Superman, and it was plenty bright. What gives? Well, you got to remember, nits is kind of the colloquial version, the colloquial term of incandescence per square meter. So nits is a brightness over size. So as your screen gets larger, the brightness requirement actually falls from a nits perspective. So while 1,000 nits on a 65-inch TV may be comfortable, as you go larger now to these large formats, 300 nits gives you a very similar experience to that without overpowering your eyes. So you certainly could, deploy ultimately, let's say you quadruple stack some projectors and you do 4,000 nits of projected brightness on a 150-inch screen. That's a little much. That's going to give me a tan, right? That's going to blow what's left of my hair off my head. And that's why DCI came together and put out a standard. And that's why the standard is 300 nits, because at those sizes, that's the target to deliver the same type of HDR impact that 1,000 nits, let's say, gives you on a 65-inch TV. So up until now, when we've kind of been limited to, let's say, in your mathematical example, 100 nits on a projected system, that's 1/3 of the HDR experience, according to Hollywood, who made the content that you paid to enjoy.
Very interesting. Well, I'm excited to experience it at the show. We're going to have, you guys are going to be in 3 rooms total. One of them is going to be with Bowers and Wilkins showing off their custom theater lineup. So you guys will be in there with a 150-inch screen. One of those rooms is top secret. Can't talk about it yet. I'm not going to talk about the audio system quite yet. And then the third room will be with Anthem Paradigm. And so you guys are going to be on a 135-inch woven screen. So that's going to be the Stuart Harmony screen material. So about a 0.7 gain. So it's going to be nice in there. So I'm excited to see it. One interesting thing that we aren't showing on there that I may have. I'm going to have to set up a demo for this at some point, but it's on an ALR screen in a bright room. So maybe whenever we get some extra time before we cover up the windows in there, I'm going to have to test out these projectors on an ALR screen. So,
absolutely. You let me know what you want to do. I'm all down to clown and have a lot of fun. And looking forward to being there with you. And again, with all the attendees to come out. So please come by, get a chance to get your eyes and ears on some great products from just a great, company like Audio Advice. Come with your questions. And I'm looking forward to having some fun next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I let you go, we did recently put the full projector lineup on our website for sale. So we are able to sell these online. Finally, I've only been begging for a while. So so we're super excited for that. So awesome. Well, Rob, thank you so much for jumping on, and we look forward to seeing you at the show.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. See ya. So awesome, guys. Well, that was our lineup. Those were 3 of the rooms. I guess a few more once you consider everybody partnered up, but 3 of the major experiences and brands that we have on. And so this is going to be a really exciting show. So again, it's August 1st through 3rd in Raleigh, North Carolina. Come and check it out. This is a small snippet of the 10 plus theaters that we have, plus multiple listening rooms, brands. So if you're into audio, video, anything, come check out the show. You'll have fun. This is unique in being a consumer first show, meaning that it's for the people who are just passionate about it, not necessarily in the industry. So it's going to be a blast. We'll post some links down in the bottom, but let's go ahead and get for our giveaway winner really quick. So let me ask the team. They pick it out for me. So they pick out the comments, so I'm not biased, but this is the winner of the M24, and it's going to be Greg Gromick. So Greg, we're excited to see you out at the show. You said very excited for Audio Advice, the Audio Advice live show in Raleigh. It will be my first audio show. So here's a little fun prize for you, and we look forward to seeing you there. So again, everybody, click on the link if you're thinking about it. Buy tickets today because they're going to probably go up the day of the show. So we look forward to seeing you all there, and see you soon.